I never thought I would feel so betrayed by my own son. The person I raised, loved, and trusted tried to steal my retirement money right out from under me. I was heartbroken, angry, and shocked all at once. He lied, schemed, and even tried to hide his actions from me, thinking he could get away with destroying the life I worked decades to build. I felt powerless, afraid, and alone, watching him betray every value I taught him. But karma caught up, the consequences hit hard, and slowly, painfully, justice was served. I want you to hear my story, feel the anguish, the rage, the relief, and understand that sometimes betrayal comes from the ones you love most. And sometimes true justice is watching them learn the hardest way possible. I never thought I'd feel betrayed by my own son. I always believed that family meant trust, loyalty, love. But last week, I found out that my own child tried to take my retirement money. And not just that, he tried to do it without me even knowing. I couldn't believe it. My heart literally sank. I felt like the ground beneath me had disappeared. How could the person I raised, who I gave everything to, even think of doing something like that? Let me start from the beginning. I'm 68, retired for a few years, living on a modest pension that I work hard for my whole life. My son, Mark, is 38, and he's always struggled with money. I helped him through school, gave him advice, even lent him money when he started his own business, which, let's just say, didn't go well. He always said he appreciated everything I did, that he wanted to make me proud. I thought I was doing the right thing. I believed in him. Everything changed when I got a letter from the Social Security office. It said someone tried to change the direct deposit of my pension to a different bank account. My name was on it, but the account was not mine. My hands were shaking as I read it. I called the office immediately. Ma'am, it appears someone attempted to redirect your payments. There are penalties involved, but we caught it in time, the clerk said. I hung up, feeling sick to my stomach. Who would do this? Then the worst thought hit me. It had to be Mark. Only someone who knew about my finances could do this. My own son. I went home, trying to calm myself, but I couldn't. I sat in the living room, staring at the wall, thinking back to every time he asked for money, every time I had trusted him with important things. And then he came in, cheerful as always. Hey, Mom, how's it going? He asked, completely oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I couldn't even speak at first. Finally, I blurted out, Mark, did you try to take my pension money? He froze. I saw the color drain from his face. What? Mom. I know, I didn't, but I knew he was lying. I had proof from the Social Security office. Don't lie to me, I said, my voice shaking. It's all here in writing. You tried to change my retirement account. Why would you do that? He stammered, avoided my eyes, and finally admitted it. Mom, I was desperate. I thought I could pay some bills and then put it back. I didn't mean to hurt you. My blood boiled. Desperate? You thought stealing from your own mother was okay. I shouted. Do you have any idea how hard I worked for this money? This is my life savings. He looked down, muttering something I couldn't even hear over the rage in my chest. It didn't stop there. I contacted the bank to reverse the changes, and that's when the penalties came. Because of his attempt, I now owed fees, fines, and extra paperwork. Mark looked guilty, but I couldn't stop feeling betrayed. How could someone I raised, trusted, and loved so deeply even think this was acceptable? It was one of the darkest moments of my life. I went to bed that night feeling sick, angry, and heartbroken all at once. I didn't know how I could ever trust him again, or if our family would survive this. But one thing I knew for certain, he would have to face the consequences. Karma has a way of catching up, and this time, it wasn't just about money. It was about respect, love, and the betrayal of a lifetime. The next morning, I woke up feeling exhausted, but the anger was still there, simmering beneath the surface. I knew I couldn't just ignore what happened. My pension isn't just money. It's my security, my independence. And Mark, well, he had crossed a line I never thought he would. I needed answers. I needed accountability. I called him into the kitchen. Mark, I said, trying to keep my voice calm, we need to talk. Not a few words, not an excuse. I want the truth. He slouched into a chair, avoiding my gaze. Mom, I already told you. I didn't mean anything bad. I was desperate. Desperate? I asked, my voice rising. Do you think being desperate gives you the right to steal from me? From your own mother?" His silence was deafening. I could see him fidgeting with the edge of his shirt, and I could feel the weight of betrayal pressing down on me. I, I just thought if I redirected it for a few weeks, I could fix my debts. I would pay it back, he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. I felt my chest tighten. Weeks? You could have ruined everything I worked for. My bills, my health insurance, everything depends on that pension. How could you even think that was okay? He tried to explain further, but the more he spoke, the worse it sounded. I didn't know what else to do. I thought, maybe if I just borrowed it temporarily, I cut him off. Temporarily? There is no borrowing from a mother. That's not borrowing. That's theft. That's betrayal. I don't even know what to call it, Mark. I trusted you. And you almost destroyed my life for your convenience. He hung his head, clearly ashamed, but I wasn't done. Do you understand what you've done? I had to pay fines. I had to go to the Social Security office. I had to fix the mess you created. And all because you couldn't handle your own mistakes responsibly. Do you see the weight of that? Mark looked up, eyes red. Mom, I know I messed up. I thought if I was quick, no one would notice. I didn't mean for it to get this bad. I shook my head. Not mean for it to get this bad? Do you even realize how bad it could have been? If the bank hadn't caught it, my checks wouldn't have come. I could have lost everything I saved for decades. Everything. And all because you were too proud to ask for help or too lazy to work responsibly. He didn't answer. There was nothing left to say, and I felt a mixture of anger and sadness. The son I raised, the man I trusted, had tried to take what was rightfully mine. And now, he had to face consequences. Over the next few days, I started to notice something interesting. Mark's friends and even distant relatives began noticing he was acting strangely. He was defensive, anxious, avoiding calls, and checking his phone constantly. I realized he was facing some backlash from people who had heard what he had done, and even some legal warnings about the attempt to redirect my pension. Karma, it seemed, was starting to arrive. One evening, he came to me, looking desperate. Mom, please can we work this out? I can pay you back. I'll do anything. Just don't report me, please. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Mark, this isn't just about money. It's about trust. You broke that trust. You put me in danger. And yes, you'll pay me back, but you're also going to face the consequences of your actions. That's part of learning responsibility. You can't just steal and hope it goes away. He nodded silently, and for the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. I didn't feel satisfaction, but I did feel a sense of justice. I realized that sometimes love isn't about letting someone get away with mistakes. Sometimes it's about making sure they understand the gravity of what they've done. Over the next week, Mark faced fines, extra paperwork, and strict warnings from the Social Security office. Every day, I could see the weight of his actions hitting him. He was apologetic, embarrassed, and finally starting to understand that life isn't about shortcuts or manipulation. He learned the hard way that you can't betray family and escape consequences. Meanwhile, I started to rebuild my sense of safety and control. I changed my bank accounts, added extra security measures, and most importantly, I reminded myself that I deserved respect, honesty, and care. This was my life, and no one, not even my own child, had the right to endanger it. At night, when I sat alone in my living room, I reflected on the situation. Yes, it hurt deeply. Yes, I felt betrayed. But there was also a lesson for both of us. Life is fragile. Trust is priceless. And actions have consequences. Mark may have thought he could get away with it, but life has a way of balancing the scales. And in that, I found a strange sense of comfort. I don't know if our relationship will ever be the same, but I do know this. He is learning responsibility, and I am reclaiming my peace. Sometimes, love doesn't mean protecting someone from the consequences of their actions. Sometimes it means letting them face the consequences and hoping they grow from it. After the initial shock of Mark's betrayal, I thought the hardest part was over. I thought once the bank reversed the changes and the fines were sorted, I could breathe again. But family has a way of complicating everything. It all started when my sister, Linda, called. I heard about Mark, she said. her voice sharp and judgmental. Honestly, I'm not surprised. He's always been reckless. You shouldn't be too hard on him. I froze, not because I was shocked by her opinion, but because of what she said next. Actually, Mom, there's something I need to tell you. Something about Dad's pension. You remember how he always said he wanted you to be careful? Well, I think Mark knew about more than just your current account. I overheard him talking to some friends about taking control of the family pension when Dad passed. I felt my stomach drop. What? I whispered. He was planning. Even more? Linda nodded slowly. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to get this far, but you should know. He's been scheming for a while. I couldn't breathe. The betrayal wasn't just one moment. It was a pattern. I had raised him to be honest, to respect family. And now, it felt like the foundation of everything I believed in was crumbling. I confronted Mark that night. Mark, is this true? Were you planning to take control of Dad's pension too? His face paled. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Mom, I just thought. I don't know, I was worried about money. I didn't mean. I never. I just wanted to help. I laughed bitterly. Help? You call stealing and scheming help? You've been planning this behind my back, plotting to take what isn't yours. That's not help, Mark. That's greed. That's betrayal. That's everything wrong with our family right now. He tried to speak, but I didn't let him. No, Mark. Not this time. I've already let you off too easy. You face fines, penalties, shame, and now I know you've been thinking bigger. Bigger than just a single mistake. I can't ignore that. Over the next few days, I noticed strange behavior from him. He avoided calls from extended family. He looked over his shoulder whenever he left the house, and he started arguing with me over minor things like I was the enemy. But the breaking point came when he tried to convince me to reconsider paying back the penalties. I'll make it up to you, he said, pleading. Just let me handle some things my way. I can fix everything. Fix everything. I snapped. You've already made things worse. Do you think apologies erase fines, penalties, and betrayal? Do you think hiding schemes behind my back counts as responsibility? His silence spoke louder than words. And in that moment, I realized that Mark wasn't just careless. He was selfish. He thought the world owed him, thought family was just a tool, and that consequences only applied to others. I decided it was time to involve the rest of the family. I called a family meeting. My sister, my cousins, even some distant relatives came. I told them everything, the pension attempt, the fines, the hidden plans. I could feel the tension in the room, like electricity before a storm. You have to understand, I said, my voice shaking but firm, this isn't just about money. This is about trust, respect, and values. Mark tried to betray the very people who raised him. He thought he could manipulate the system and walk away. The room was silent. Mark sat with his head down, unable to meet anyone's eyes. My cousin David finally spoke. Mark, this is serious. What you did, it's not just family drama. You could have caused real damage to your mother's life. Mark nodded, ashamed. I know, I messed up, but the truth was the consequences were only beginning. Word spread to other family members, and soon Mark faced pressure from more than just me. Some relatives questioned why they had trusted him with anything. Some even cut off financial assistance he relied on. Slowly, he began to realize that trust isn't automatic. It's earned, and once broken, it's hard to repair. During this time, I also discovered a shocking twist. Linda, my sister, had actually known about some of Mark's schemes earlier, but she hesitated to tell me. I didn't want to hurt you, she said tearfully. I thought I could manage it, stop him quietly. But it just got worse. I felt anger at first, but then I realized something. If it weren't for her hesitation, Mark might have escalated his plans even further. Even though she kept quiet, she also helped prevent a disaster. Family isn't perfect, and sometimes protection comes in strange forms. Through this chaos, I kept one goal in mind: restore justice, protect what's mine, and teach Mark the value of honesty. I documented everything, kept meticulous records of the penalties, fines, and attempts to manipulate accounts. The more I watched him struggle with his own guilt and shame, the more I felt a sense of balance returning. It wasn't easy. Every phone call, every interaction was a reminder of betrayal. But I also began to see something remarkable. Mark was changing. Slowly, Painfully, he began to understand the weight of his actions. He started making small amends, apologizing to relatives, helping with household chores, and showing real effort to rebuild trust. One evening, I caught him in the kitchen, quietly washing dishes. I didn't say anything at first. I just watched. He looked up and said softly, "Mom, I know I've been awful. I'm sorry. I'll do better." I nodded, a mixture of relief and lingering hurt in my chest. "You have a long way to go, Mark. But maybe you can learn. Family dynamics are complicated. Betrayal leaves scars, but it also teaches lessons. And in this house, I learned that consequences are the most powerful teacher of all." It was a week after the family meeting when everything came to a head. Mark had been quiet, almost too quiet. At first, I thought maybe he was finally reflecting on his actions, finally realizing the weight of his betrayal. But the truth was far more complicated. That evening, I received a text from him. "We need to talk." Now, my heart sank. I didn't know if this was another attempt to manipulate, another excuse, or finally, the confession I've been waiting for. I told him to come over, but this time I was firm. No distractions, no half-truths, no evasions. When he arrived, he looked nervous, pale, and ashamed. "Mom, he trailed off, unable to finish. I took a deep breath and said, "Mark, this is it. No more lies, no more excuses. You need to face everything right now." He nodded slowly, and we sat in the living room. The tension was unbearable, thick like fog. I try to fix things," he began. "I try to handle my debts. I didn't mean to hurt you. I thought I was doing the right thing." I cut him off sharply. "Doing the right thing? Mark, the right thing is honesty. The right thing is asking for help before stealing from the person who raised you. You didn't do that. You thought you could manipulate me, the system, and everyone else, and maybe get away with it. That's not right. That's theft. That's betrayal." He looked down, his hands shaking. "I know. I felt trapped. I thought I had no choice. I didn't want to disappoint you." I leaned forward, my voice low but fierce. "There's always a choice, Mark. You chose the wrong one. And now, you're going to pay. Not just financially, but emotionally, socially. You're going to feel the consequences of your actions. Maybe then, you'll understand what respect really means." He nodded silently, swallowing hard. I could see the panic in his eyes as he finally realized the full weight of what he had done. The penalties, the fines, the warnings from the Social Security office, the disapproval of family members, it all hit him at once. For the first time, he was truly accountable. But that wasn't the end. A few days later, the bank called me again. "Ma'am, there's been another attempt to access your account," the clerk said. My blood ran cold. I couldn't believe it. Was Mark trying again? I immediately called him. "Mark, did you try to access my account again?" He froze. "Mom, I swear it wasn't me," he stammered. I knew him well enough to detect fear and also lies. "Mark, if this is another trick, I swear you'll regret it. You're testing every limit, and I've had enough. I will involve the authorities if I have to." That night, he came clean. "Mom, okay, it was me. I thought maybe I could fix things before you noticed. I didn't want to pay the fines. I thought I could just manage it myself." I felt a mix of anger and relief. Anger that he hadn't learned yet. Relief that he finally admitted it. "Mark, how many times do you think you can betray trust before it's gone forever? You've already caused enough damage. Every attempt, every lie, it's adding up. And now, you're only making it worse for yourself." He looked crushed, defeated. "I know. I really messed up this time, Mom. I don't know what to do." I shook my head. "You know exactly what to do. Face the penalties, pay back everything, and accept that your actions have consequences. Stop trying to fix things secretly. Stop trying to manipulate. Start taking responsibility like an adult. That's the only way forward." Over the next several days, Mark struggled. He made phone calls, dealt with fines, and confronted angry relatives. Every day, I watched him grow more aware of his mistakes. The guilt weighed heavily on him, and I could see that he was finally understanding the depth of his betrayal. But there was another twist. My niece, Emily, who had been very close to Mark, confided in me. "Auntie, I think he's scared. Really scared. I told him to tell you the truth, and now he feels like he's losing everything. He doesn't know how to face Dad's pension, and he regrets it so much. I nodded. Emily, that's exactly what he needs. He needs to feel the consequences, to understand the pain he caused, and to learn that actions have real-life repercussions. He can't escape this, and he won't be able to for a long time. Mark finally realized that his mother and the family weren't going to let him off easy. For the first time, he felt powerless. And in that powerlessness, I saw something important. True growth begins when you confront the full weight of your mistakes. The final confrontation came when I sat him down one evening. Mark, look at me, I said. He obeyed, eyes wide. This isn't about punishment anymore. It's about learning. It's about respect, honesty, and trust. You broke all three. But if you take responsibility, if you face the consequences fully, you might still salvage your life and your relationships. He nodded, tears welling up. I will, Mom. I promise. I'll face it all. I'll make it right. That night, as I sat alone, I felt a strange sense of closure. The anger hadn't vanished, but justice was finally in motion. Karma, it seemed, was catching up, and for once, I didn't feel helpless. Mark would learn, the fines would be paid, and the trust he had broken would serve as a lesson for the rest of his life. Family betrayal is devastating. But when consequences are faced head-on, when truth is revealed, and when responsibility is taken, there is justice. And in that justice, there is a form of healing for the one who was wronged, and perhaps even for the one who did the wrong. It took weeks, but slowly, painfully, Mark began to face the consequences of his actions. Every fine, every call to the Social Security office, every uncomfortable conversation with relatives, it all added up. He was no longer the carefree, reckless man who thought he could manipulate family and finances for his own convenience. He was a man learning, for the first time, what it truly meant to take responsibility. One morning, he came to me, holding a stack of receipts and papers. His hand shook. Mom, I've paid all the penalties. Every fine, every extra charge, it's all done. I want you to know I'm serious about making this right. I studied him carefully. I could see the guilt, the fear, and also a hint of pride that came not from defiance, but from finally doing the right thing. Mark, I can see that. I can also see you've been humbled by all of this. He nodded. I have. I've learned more in these past weeks than I ever thought I would. I never want to hurt you like that again. We sat in silence for a while. I remembered the sleepless nights, the anger, the heartbreak, and I realized something important. Justice isn't always about punishment. Sometimes it's about teaching someone the gravity of their actions so that they never repeat the same mistakes. And Mark, he was finally learning. The next day, I decided to bring closure to the family situation. I called a small meeting, my sister, some cousins, Emily, and told them everything Mark had done, how he had faced the consequences, and how he was making amends. I watched as the room shifted from judgment to cautious hope. You see, I said softly, this isn't just about fines or penalties. This is about respect, honesty, and the values we hold as a family. Mark failed at all three, but he's learning. That matters more than anything. Emily smiled at her cousin. I knew he could change, she said. It just took him realizing the full weight of his mistakes. Mark's eyes were downcast, but I could see a spark of understanding, a glimmer of maturity that had been absent before. I know I've lost a lot of trust, he said quietly. I don't expect forgiveness overnight. I want to prove that I can be better. I nodded, feeling a strange sense of pride mixed with relief. You have a long way to go, Mark, but you're on the right path. Actions speak louder than words. Keep showing us that you've changed. In the days that followed, Mark continued to make amends. He apologized to extended relatives, volunteered to help with family responsibilities, and avoided any temptation to cut corners or manipulate situations for personal gain. Slowly, the tension that had haunted our family began to ease. The betrayal was still a shadow over us, but it was no longer a festering wound. It was a lesson learned, a cautionary tale that would stay with all of us. One evening, I sat alone in the living room, reflecting on the journey. Betrayal had rocked the foundations of our family, but consequences had restored balance. I realized that sometimes love isn't about shielding someone from the results of their actions. Sometimes it's about letting them face reality, suffer the consequences, and grow stronger because of it. I thought about my own life, how hard I had worked for my pension, how many sacrifices I had made, and how easy it would have been to give in to anger completely. But I didn't. I held my ground, demanded accountability, and let justice take its course. In the end, it wasn't just about money. It was about respect, integrity, and the enduring lessons that bind a family together. Mark came to me that night. "Mom, I just want to say thank you," he said softly. "Thank you for not letting me get away with it, for making me face the consequences. I know I was wrong, and I know I've hurt you. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it right." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of closure. You'll never erase the mistakes, Mark, but you can show that you've learned. That's the most important thing. That's how trust can slowly be rebuilt. As he left, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known in months. The betrayal, the anger, the heartbreak, it was all behind us, replaced by justice, accountability, and hope. My pension was safe, my family was learning lessons about honesty, and Mark, he was finally becoming the man I had always hoped he could be. Family, I realized, is complicated. Trust can be broken, but it can also be restored if the right steps are taken. Consequences aren't cruelty. They're the natural result of actions. And when justice is served, even in the smallest way, it restores balance, teaches humility, and strengthens the bonds that truly matter. That night, as I sat by the window, I whispered to myself, life has a way of catching up with those who think they can take without giving. And in the end, honesty, respect, and responsibility are the greatest victories any of us can achieve.